I am Justin Boyd.
I'm Cheese.
I'm a motherfucker.
I'm George Luna.
I'm Tristan, King in the South.
Hey, and we're back, y'all. We're the Watchers in the Basement.
Welcome to the Watchers in the Basement. We are here tonight to react to Season 2, Episode 1, House of the Dragon, episode titled A Son for a Son. And that's right, we're live reacting. The episode just ended minutes ago. For tonight, for the next 7 weeks, we're going to be here. We hope to be your post-game show for House of the Dragon. Let's get right to it. Tristan, kick us off. What'd you think about this episode?
I mean, wonderful episode of television. As you know, as a book reader, I'm not going to talk this season as opposed to season 1. I'm not going to talk too much about the book. Just kind of reacting what I see, but I wasn't looking forward to this episode, knowing how it was going to end. The title, absolutely gives that away. But one great thing I'll say about this episode, amongst many other things, is that I still felt the same amount of dread and trauma that I felt reading that particular chapter in Fire and Blood. So that means that the episode absolutely did its job. And we'll talk about like differences and stuff. Brittany will be the head honcho on that, but captivating episode, just for not the reasons that I wanted it to be captivating, but that's what television does to us. So loved it.
George, welcome back to the show. What are your thoughts on this season premiere of House of the Dragon?
So unlike you guys that read the books or have read the books, I went into this blind. I didn't know the episode title. I didn't know anything. It just said episode 1 for me, so I had no idea. So to see it end like that fucked me up. I was like, this is nuts. So I in my head, I'm like, okay, this is how we're gonna start the first episode. So I know this shit's gonna get crazy and crazier. So I don't know what to expect. But that was crazy. That was nuts to me.
Frank, what about you? I know you've read the books, so give us some of your insight.
Yeah, I read the books. It was a great episode. Even as a book reader and knowing what's going to happen, you can't prepare for that. Like, you just can't. That's nothing you can mentally prepare for. If you are an avid Game of Thrones watcher, going back to the OG series, we've seen kids burn at the stake. We've seen, the R word happen to women. We've seen a lot of things. It doesn't condition me to get used to it. Like, it's one of those things where when you see it or hear it, it brings a harsh reality of like the makings and the people who really suffer in war. And yes, it's the soldiers as well, but it's also the innocent bystanders, small folk, and children. And the way this episode ended, and knowing how it was going to end, is just a harsh reminder of this world and how things are all predicated on the need of power. These two families, whether you're black, whether you're the green, they're both predicated on wanting power. That's what it is, and they're not going to stop. They're not going to stop in any way of getting to that power. And that child dying was pretty much a symbolism of like what these two families are willing to do to obtain power. It's very tough to watch, very tough to hear. I'm glad they didn't show it. Brittany and I talked about it on Friday. Like, we knew it was going to happen. I was like, just don't show it. And like, even not seeing it, but hearing it was just as bad, if not worse. So,
but by not showing it, did he die?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, if the kid would have said "do your duty," and then obviously he's dead, but like, I don't know, the kid might have survived. Honestly.
Oh no.
Justin, hate to break it to you, that kid gone.
He did.
Because not only did they slice his throat, they are sawing it off entirely. They are beheading this child. And I'm going to just jump in here and say probably a very unpopular opinion here. I personally feel this episode fell a little short. Just because I recently did reread this chapter, and we talked about this briefly offline, Tristan and I guess maybe this season I'll be the book person and kind of share the comparisons between the book and the episode, and there is one dedicated chapter entitled A Son for a Son, which the events of this episode did take place. There were a lot of things that were also thrown into the episode that I don't quite fully feel that was necessary. That of the queen, the Dowager Queen, and Kristen Cole, because why? And I think the main difference for me personally with this episode dealt with this really horrific scene that we did witness with the death of a child, right? They threw in this whole bit about, bring me Aemon Targaryen. If you can't find him, go kill someone else who is a son, right? And so that was slightly different. I think for me, what fell short is that in the book, there were 3 children that were of Aegon's and Helena's. And the main thing was Helena gave up the youngest son. When Cheese asked her, or Blood, whoever asked her, which one do you want dead? She points to the youngest, who at the time was like 2. And it was Cheese or Blood who decided to take Jaehaerys instead. So I feel like that was a lot more impactful when reading that scene in the book. But I don't know, to me, it just kind of fell a little short in terms of impactfulness. It's still horrific. Don't get me wrong. No one wants to see a child be killed and be beheaded, especially by the choice of their mother, right? Like that's horrible in and of itself. But I don't quite feel this season premiere landed exactly for me. Just like I said, unpopular opinion. But I want to head over into the chat real quick. We appreciate those who are here watching live with us. This is awesome. We got King B Johnson, hashtag a son for a son, hashtag Superman that. Interesting. Yesenia here. A bunch of rat emojis. Yes, lots of rats. Rat catcher, that is Cheese. Hope here says, oh dear Lord, how should we even begin sorting through this hot mess of a season premiere? Yeesh. Listen, if you're still here with us, Hope, please elaborate. I would love to get your thoughts on this. It seems like maybe you and I are kind of aligned. This one kills me. Happy Father's Day, especially to Aegon Targaryen. What a way to go, my dude. What a way. What a way.
Yeah, lost the son on Father's Day. Not a great one for our guy Aegon, for the 17th Aegon or whatever. It's hard to keep up with. Also, so the kid that died is Jaehaerys, right? He's like the 10th Jaehaerys that we've heard.
He's Jaehaerys no more. I mean,
right.
Doesn't hurt at this point.
So I have a question, because I'm more lost than any of you guys, because I don't remember pretty much anything from the first season, if I'm being honest. So, Brittany, you said that Daemon told him to kill someone else? Because I did not catch that.
So when Rhaenyra returns after having gone to Storm's End to, witness the massacre that was her son's death, right? The dragon wing pulled up on shore. There's Lucerys's clothing. She comes back, goes to the painted table room where everyone's like, hey, we're ready to go. You just say the word, and we'll do your bidding. But she turns around and says, I want Aemon Targaryen.
Yeah.
Right. So that's where she says that for Daemon to in turn say to Cheese, hey, I need you to go kill Aemon Targaryen. But then Cheese asks, hey, what happens?
They can't find him.
Exactly. That's where.
But what did he say? Because he didn't say anything else.
Yeah, he didn't say anything else.
He didn't, but it was.
So these guys are just dumbasses.
I mean, that's not how it was in the book.
The worst hitmen of all time. They're like, oh, fuck it. There's a baby there. You want to kill him instead?
But that's not at all what happened in the book. This is where I'm saying the difference is Aemon was not named at all in the book. It was specific to Aegon's children, a son for a son. So that's why I think this is exactly. I don't understand why they positioned it this way. I mean, in Tristan and Frank, you can back me up on this. There's something that's going to happen with Aemon. It's just, I don't think this was the way to set it up. What are y'all's thoughts on that as readers of Fire and Blood? Which, by the way, I have right here with me. Y'all go read Fire and Blood. That way you can get, a jump on what's going to happen this season.
No, thank you.
I thought that was poorly planned. It was very poorly planned. From the minute that Daemon said to Cheese, I want Aemon dead. Damon knows Aemon's a very capable sword fighter. One of the coolest motherfuckers in the Seven Kingdoms. The nigga ain't to be fucked with. And you send nobodies to go kill one of the most coldest sword hands in the Seven Kingdoms. It just, that part bothered me because like it shows me that Damon's not smart. And we know Damon goes off of like his emotions and all that, but this is war. Like if you're gonna make your imprint in this war, you need to be a better tactician than to send street thugs to go kill one of the coldest dudes in the Seven Kingdoms. It was very, very poor game planning. Like if that was my offensive coordinator, I would be very, very worried about the game plan. That was very bad on Damon's part.
So my theory, I guess we're getting into it. I think the show is trying to do two things. One is trying to obviously set up an obvious conflict that's going to happen later this season or at the very least early season 3. And it's by doing that, they're also shaping, which they're doing on the second thing, but they're shaping the two conflictors, and that's Damon and Aemon, right? That's the conflict that the show is trying to set you up. So like it also is trying to paint them, like recharacterize both characters. So in this first episode, we see impulsiveness from Damon, which is what he's known for, right? So it's kind of them paying off from season 1. Damon, he acts impulsively, without authority. A lot of times he calls his own audibles, which we know some quarterbacks should not. And then we have on the flip side them recharacterizing Aemon, who the last time we saw him let impulse drive him, and they spent most of season 1 once we actually meet adult or young adult Aemon, characterizing him as like cunning, kind of away from everything, observant and everything. But the last time we see him in the finale is the very famous him assisting in getting his relative killed by the dragon. So they're recharacterizing Aemon as, and they have to do this because we all know Damon is known as like one of the most feared fighters in the Seven Kingdoms as well. And you can't really set up that conflict if one is all the way up here and one is all the way down here. So like they're kind of aging up or maturing up Aemon while also kind of bringing Damon down a little bit, right? The second thing is, which is what I've been preaching from the highest of mountains since we did this podcast last season. It's like, you want to say your team black, you want to say your team green, cool. This is like Succession. There's nobody here to root for outside of the kids, right? Outside of the babies. And by kids, I mean babies. So in the book, like this plan is more thought out. But the book does a much better job of painting both sides as assholes. The show has offered a little bit more grace, I would say, to Rhaenyra's side, which is why if you check the social media posts, there are more people who are team black. Like you are, cast aside if you say that you're team green, that'd be me. But I'm in for team green for one person. Fuck the rest of them kids. I think that a large part of this is the show trying to catch up with the book and like giving a more balanced view of why both sides ain't shit. And you really should not be rooting for either side because there's assured destruction either way. So that's my theory on why they made that major change, why Rat and Cheese are complete guffawed idiots and not trained assassins, feared assassins in the book. So like, I could be completely wrong, but I think those are like the main things driving that.
But Tia, to answer to that, what bothers me about Damon is that you see the inevitableness of like Damon and Aemon coming to blows. Like you saw it last season with the dinner scene and like Aemon and like Damon are like face to face at this point. And what I got from that scene last season is that Damon sees him as, okay, the boy's coming. Like he's coming. He's coming for the throne. And when I say throne, I mean like for as top dog as far as like fighters is concerned, like a worthy adversary. Damon knows this, but yet, and then like in this episode when he tells Cheese, yeah, I want Eamon dead, but you know, I'm paraphrasing, keep your distance. He's a capable fighter. You know this, but yet you send this motherfucker anyways for a task that the 99th percentile of street thugs cannot do. And it's like, what was your goal there? Like, he was going to fail when it came to like getting Eamon, and it was inevitable that he was going to fail. He's not a trained fighter. He's not a trained assassin. Like what was the goal there for Damon? Is my point. When the story shows over the last few episodes, going back to last season, that Damon sees this young man as a worthy adversary, or that he's coming, he's ascending.
Oh no, that's a misstep. It's like completely agree that it's a misstep. I just think that that misstep is in service of like a couple larger goals of how. I mean, this is a hit fucking show. Like this is something that anytime that you have a show where people are taking like legitimate sides, you know what I'm saying? And that's not just part of like the show rollout. Like they have, you know, buildings in New York City, across the country where like they're dropping Team Black, Team Green signs. Like it's become that big a thing. I think they would rather kind of sacrifice that misstep that, you know, the true watchers like us and book readers and yada yada are going to point out. This won't play, you know, mainstream. Like it'll just, oh, okay, like that was stupid. Yeah. Oh wow, kid did. Like those, it's the big things there. But no, that was absolutely a misstep. I didn't get that either. I'm like, you're not sitting. I again, as a book reader, I know the two conspirators, Rat and Cheese, to be more capable of like pulling off something like that on damn near anybody in that castle. You know what I mean? Not, like I said, a rat catcher and some dude who's like scrounging for coins. So like, no, complete misstep by the show.
Yeah. Well,
but yeah.
To be fair, Cheese was indeed a rat catcher, and Blood was he had been in the City Watch, but he had lost his gold cloak because he had beaten a whore to death. I'm reading the book right here as we're talking, and for the adaptation that we saw for this episode, I would have 100% been okay if Cheese had encountered Eamon and been killed on the spot after he kicked that dog. That was unnecessary. That did not need to happen. I am very pissed about that being thrown into the scene. It was unnecessary, writers. I hope you see this. I'm very upset with you.
So that's a question. Why did he bring the dog?
To make it seem legit, because
I didn't get that either.
There are dogs that are bred to chase and hunt down rats, and if that's to give some sort of legitimacy as to why they're entering the castle,
okay,
that probably would have been the reason. It's just an accessory to legitimize why they're there. But I was absolutely fired up when I saw that happen. That was not necessary, and people in the chat are with me. Tracy here, I hated that. Yes.
Yeah, I don't think anybody liked the dog getting kicked. I mean, even
unnecessary.
Even the kid may be dying. Who cares, right? There's plenty of kids, but you just don't kick dogs, okay?
Jesus.
So.
Yeah. Yesenia here says they were pretending to be rat catchers. Yes. So unnecessary. I want to put this to the whole group. It doesn't matter if you're a book reader or just a TV watcher for this show. We've seen in season 1 how Kristen Cole obviously deflowered Rhaenyra, and it was like a big deal. You know, I soiled my cloak, blah, 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 blah. He then pledges his allegiance and protection to Queen Alicent. Why the hell is he fucking her?
Have you seen her?
He loves powerful women.
Like, what else does he got to do? You know, like.
But for these people who
that's the question.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm
kind of with Justin on this. Like, what does he? I mean, yeah.
No, but like, given we're talking about character development, okay? We've seen Alicent, try to be this high righteous, whatever. Tristan, I'm talking to you. You're Team Green. Okay. She's supposed to be, righteous and one with the faith and blah, blah, blah. And the fact that Criston Cole, who's now Lord Commander of the King's Guard, and he's not supposed to, do these things, but yet they're like, he's eating her out and then he's, fucking her at the end of this episode. I mean, like, the hypocrisy, because Alicent was all high about how Rhaenyra was deflowered and knowing that Criston was the one who did it. And they're just doing,
Can I ask you one simple question?
Sure.
At what point in history do you think immoral casual sex began? Like,
oh, no.
This is
100% get that. 100% get
as
that.
far as if you're a believer of those things, that the good book. So it's two different perspectives. From Sir Criston Cole, he's already broken his honor.
Yeah.
Right? And then the show is kind of also showing you a slow descent into like more depravity and immorality from Sir Criston Cole. So that's his side. From Alicent, who the fuck else she's supposed to be fucking?
A bitch got knees.
It's like
a bitch got knees. Like,
she's like 19. Like, damn, or
exactly,
not really. She's
like
25, 26, 27. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's.
Oh no, she's like in her 30s at this point, because she had Aegon when she was like 15. So, and Aegon's like 20. So she's like 35.
30s.
Yeah.
Even then, she is probably in heat, my G. Like,
I get it.
Tell you, like,
I get it. It's just an interesting, for me, having read the book and what have you. Yes, we already know that Criston Cole, sorry, is her sworn protector and what have you. And it probably would be inevitable that something like this would happen. I'm just like, where is this going to lead, other than the fact that she needs to get the D from Dorne? Like, I don't get it. So I don't know.
I mean,
this is true.
It's convenient, and that's really that's it. And they're at war, so they're all going to be like pretty much fortified amongst the people that are around them.
That's yeah. Yesenia makes a good point.
Time together, like they spend a lot of time together. Like he's like that's her sworn protector. Like, and then he's a handsome dude, so like it's only a matter of time before he splits those yams. Like I wasn't surprised by that. Like that's one element that I wish I was kind of in the book, because like it shows that
it's hinted at.
Yeah, it's hinted, but it hasn't been confirmed, but it is hinted.
This show has demonstrated that it'll take pretty much everything that's hinted at or implied in the book, and it'll put it on there. Like,
oh yeah, for sure. George and Justin, I mean, y'all have already kind of spoken on this, but did that like kind of strike y'all in any type of way?
Not really. I wasn't surprised at all. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I mean, obviously, I don't know. Was it really hinted at last season that much? I mean, I wasn't super surprised, obviously, to see those two characters hook up. I just like when it, obviously, I think the first time we see her is one of those scenes, right? Alicent?
Oh yeah. She's
only in a couple she's only in a couple scenes. Rhaenyra's only in a couple scenes. So, this episode for me overall was a slow burn. I thought it was a good episode, but I knew the title, I knew kind of what it was going to be. I mean, a son for a son, not hard to figure out what's going to happen. But the way it was playing out, I'm like, is it going to happen this episode? Is it going to happen next episode? Because it was kind of moving at a snail's pace. But
agreed.
Yeah, I wasn't surprised they got together. I didn't really see it coming from last season. And I could see it, if you continue to develop it this season, but I didn't think we'd see it like right away to start off season or episode 1.
I thought the relationship was a natural progression to what we saw tonight, only because Christian was at a point in his life where he was about to off himself. Like, he was lost. He lacked purpose. He really felt betrayed by Rhaenyra. Like, he gave up everything for her, and he was lost. And that was a time where, Miss Hightower plays Super Saver Ho for Christian. And I think for Christian, she came into his life at the right time. And for me, I thought it was a natural progression to where they are now.
Okay. Let's talk about Aegon. King Aegon II, the magnanimous. What did y'all think of him presiding over all of these what were the terms? What was the term that was being used? Good Lord, I can't think of today. Hearing all these
Petition?
petitions. Yeah,
Small
thank
folk.
you.
Oh, petitions, yeah.
Yeah. What did y'all think of him actually acting as a king outside of just being a doof during the small council and just wanting to, entertain his son and just kind of be violent, I guess?
He seemed like he was gonna be a man of the people, but Otto kept fucking butting in and telling him, nope, you can't do that. We need these sheep to feed the fucking dragons. We don't want to pay the Smiths any more money. Like, I don't know. It just seems like he's not really a king. Like he's just there, like not even doing what he wants.
But
Like,
that's
you're
how
the
boy
king.
kings are, though.
What?
That's how boy kings are. They always ran by the council. Like that's
Yeah.
the norm with the kings who are young and or impatient and inexperienced. The hand the king pretty much rules,
That's crazy. Yeah.
until they get experience.
Yeah.
I think they're kind of trying to show him like maybe not to be like a tyrant. Like obviously he's he's not a reluctant king, but I don't think it's like really what he wanted to be.
How old is he? He's supposed to be in the shit, like in this time?
About 20, between 20 and 22, let's say.
That's not that young. How old was Joffrey? That motherfucker was crazy.
I don't even know. I couldn't tell you. He was probably like
he
16.
did whatever the fuck he wanted. So that he was nuts.
I mean, that's fair. Tristan, what did you make of Aegon trying to be? It seems like a king who cares about his people.
I mean, on the surface, like I think it demonstrates some type of intention of being more than just a little fuck up that he is normally. But everything he does is a fuck. Like he just has like a twisted base of like thinking. So like he hasn't been trained to think ahead. He hasn't been trained to think about consequences. Look at the bigger picture. Like so, like even when he has good intentions for something, it's really one for like show. So like there's no like sincerity behind it. And two, like he just keeps making the wrong decision because he hadn't done the proper mental work to be even like to pretend like to be a king. They talked about it on the interviews, not interviews, but the the recap after. Is like he is prone to these bad decisions. He's trying to demonstrate that he's worthy, to impress his grandfather. But again, like you're not somebody who listens. You're not somebody who follows advice normally. Like you can't just skip those steps. And so like he's destined to fuck up because that's the only thing he knows how to do, right? He only thinks about himself for the most part. The other 1 to 2% for his kids at points, but yeah, like I saw it as just like another side of his fuck up. Like we're used to seeing like the Joffrey like actions toward women, like the disregard for authority, yada yada. On the other side, like you're just making impulsive decisions, even with good intentions. Like that's still a fuck up. Like I don't, intentions only go but so far. So, it's the duality of the fuck up. That's what like. He's Aegon the fuck up to me. So.
Oh, I love that. I love that. That should be how he goes down in history. Aegon the fuck up. I love it. I love it. And you mentioned Otto Hightower. Of course, he's the Hand. This is his third king that he's now serving as the Hand. I mean, can we all agree that maybe he's the true villain in this story? Yeah. Anyone, please share your thoughts. I mean, the fact that he's trying to control so much of the king, it's very like Tywin Lannister, like just not as smart.
Yeah, but his days as the Hand might be coming to an end because our guy Larys Strong is look like he's making a play to be the new Hand of the King. George, what did you think about that character? His he definitely has the Littlefinger vibes down.
Yeah, for sure. He's very sneaky. Like, so he replaced all of the Queen's staff, or not all of them, the ones that couldn't be trusted. So he literally killed the rest of them, which is fucking nuts. Could have just fired them, but Yeah, Yesenia says he's a creep. Yes, he's a fucking creep that loves staring at the queen's feet. But yeah, he's trying to
Doing
position
far
himself-
more than just staring.
What do you mean?
Oh, you don't remember him jacking off when she had her bare
shit,
feet
that's
out?
true. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Sorry.
Thanks for reminding me. No, but I see he's trying to position himself with the king and telling him like, hey, like he's kind of he kind of tends to control like everybody or every king that's been in position. So I think he's definitely trying to maneuver his way in there, and I think he's definitely going to succeed at that.
Anybody else got any Laris thoughts? Tristan, you want to talk about our guy Laris?
My biggest thing with Laris is like how unsurprised. Like I know, like we always make the parallel to Littlefinger, and the more I think about it, I mean, yeah, that's an obvious parallel that the show wants you to make, you know, for familiarity purposes. But like, if you are not, I mean, he's highborn, but he's not a fighter.
Right.
He's not, you know, this outwardly political, you know, monster because he, you know, has his disability, which kind of forces him to the outskirts. Like, what else do you do? You know, like everybody, I think Frank talked about it when we came on, but like, it's this thirst for attaining power and then keeping power. So like, Laris has identified his way through, and he also understands who he needs to eliminate in order to get there. Him firing her staff, like that's not something, you know, that's something that's premeditated, right? I can control everyone who's around the queen, which way I can control everything. I can control essentially the king while he's however long he's the king. So like Otto has to be eliminated. So like this is just that's a natural progression of just that world, man. It's a feudal society, and like if you can't do it with the sword, you have to do it with the words. So like I think Laris is everybody in the show is becoming more of who they already are. So Laris is becoming more deviant and like trying to obtain power and trying to manipulate the board to his will because he has no other way. So like everybody's just diving all the way in, right? And this is just Laris diving all the way in. Like his goal is to be right next to the king. His goal is to be the hand. So Otto, yeah, like you said, his days are numbered. Otto's days have been numbered really from the jump, and he's cheated it so many different ways. So we'll see how long he lasts this time.
Frank, you want to talk about Laris or Otto or that battle to be the hand?
Nah, I mean, I think I hit it pretty much on the head, man. I mean, one thing this show has routinely, not just a show, but like this world has routinely exhibited throughout the last decade is that the more thirsty you are for power, the more equipped you are to handle the chess pieces. It's almost like a drug dealer, man. You get so used to the fast money, the lifestyle, the quick returns of your decision making that you become addicted to it, and it becomes your end. It was no different for Baelish and in the original series, and it's gonna be the same for Laris. Like he's gonna at some point overplay his hand, and it's gonna cost him his life. And it's gonna. I don't think it's gonna show this season, but it's gonna come. But you know, he's not a fighter like Tristan said, but with greed often comes missteps, and he's going to misstep eventually. So
I could make a joke about his ability to step, but I won't. Brittany, let's talk about the opening of the episode. We open in Winterfell, which we didn't see Winterfell in season 1, right? Or no, we didn't.
No, we really didn't. We did get a Lord Stark who pledged his fealty to Rhaenyra when her father named her heir to the Iron Throne. But that was the extent of seeing anybody from the North, let alone Winterfell.
Yeah, we get a voiceover from Lord Cregan Stark, who I had never heard of. So he's talking with Jace. Is that correct?
Yes.
Is he also Jacaerys?
That's yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Not to be confused with Jacaerys, who
There we
was
go.
beheaded.
There we go. Okay. See, I got confused there.
Yeah, no. Jacaerys, yes.
George, I want to throw to you. What did you think about seeing the wall about 200 years before we saw it in Game of Thrones?
I love seeing Winterfell and the Wall. I was like, oh man, this is so cool to see just back then. Like you hear all the stories that Ned would talk about, or like just all this stuff that you hear about the Wall and everything. So getting to see it back then in that era was pretty cool, and how they took it like as like so serious and so noble. It wasn't a punishment. Like these guys were excited to actually go defend this and do this job and protect everybody from the White Walkers, or death, as they said it in this show. They didn't really allude to anything else, but they just said death. So it was really cool to see. That made me happy there. I enjoyed that.
Here's my question regarding the death comment. Where over the next 150 years did that get lost in translation, to where when you see the season premiere of Game of Thrones episode 1, Ned is kind of like in like disbelief of anything that's magical or death. Like it's like, what happened in the lineage of the Stark lineage that to where it was common knowledge that things beyond the Wall were eventually going to come and wreak havoc on the world, to where, oh no, Snarks and White Walkers, that's folklore. Like what happened? Like what
was it so chill? Was it so chill back then that like nothing went on, or what was it?
I don't know, but like it's Cregan spoke like an OG, like from my father's father. Like we know something beyond the Wall. And then in the main series, like Ned's kind of like, nah, they had that nigga, man. That shit ain't real. Like what? I just want to know what happened. Like what?
I have a theory.
Yeah.
So after 150 years of nothing happening, do you really want to believe that any of those stories are true when there's been no evidence to support the story or any of it? It kind of just fades away. And I'm thinking like how Viserys had passed on the Aegon's dream, the Song of Ice and Fire, to Rhaenyra, and no spoilers, but it eventually will not be passed on because it's supposed to be king to heir, king to heir, king to heir, right? So I'm kind of thinking it's maybe the same for the Stark sort of storyline as well. Things either have been passed on or they just have been told, and people are just kind of like, yeah, but nothing's ever happened. Like, when is it going to happen? Winter is coming. We've heard that for how many years? Winter is coming, but winter never came, so you start kind of just not putting a whole lot of stock into it anymore.
But check this out though. You said 150 years, right? Between what Cregan said to the main timeline.
Yeah.
Up to Cregan at this point in this series, it's been 1,000 years since the first men and the White Walkers, and it's still like winter's coming. So for 1,000 years between the first men and to what Cregan said in this episode, that's 1,000. That's 1,000 years. Like that, it's still a thing. So what changed from 1,000 years between the first men and Cregan to 150 years of Cregan to Ned, to where it's not taken serious anymore?
Probably because if the Starks were once honored to defend the Wall, and then over time, it's what are we going to do with all these criminals, all these rapists, all these, whatever, we're going to send them to the Wall as punishment. Things get muddled. It's no longer a privilege and an honor to serve on the Wall and to protect the realm from these outside, creatures or death or whatever. It's just kind of like, oh, you're just doing this because you did a bad thing. Things get lost. So
what changed though? Like, because he said he wanted to keep his army there to protect that. So he sent like 2,000 of the old men to go take care of them. So I'm guessing something happens between then and when they start sending all the fucking shitty people, rapists, robbers, whatever.
Yeah. Because it doesn't make
something
sense.
happened
Like,
between them. I guess we'll wait for the fucking Winterfell show whenever if some shit.
something had to
I
happen
may,
big for that to be such a high regard or priority. To be like, hey, we got to protect this wall. We got to keep these men here. Like, what the fuck happened between that and 150 years later? Because it's a serious tone by how Kraken's talking. There are dragons. There's a war that's happening in the Seven Kingdoms, and he's talking about the wall. Like, nigga, fuck y'all dragons, fuck y'all war, fuck the kids. Like, I'm trying to protect this wall. Like, what the fuck happened? I got to know.
Tristan, what are your thoughts?
A couple things. One, on the Stark side, I mean, a lot of them, you know, the main guys, a lot of the lords, like they died. A lot of them died young, right? So like Brittany said, like Brittany pretty much took everything I was gonna say, you know, out of my mouth. But like, is a breakdown of the lineage of like how we tell these stories about the wall, about what's beyond the wall. Like, just people start dying. And then what happens next is the bigger thing, which is the breakdown, which is really what Game of Thrones is kind of hinting at as well. It was like, it's a breakdown of the institutions, right? Like, the wall stopped being an institution worthy of honor. You know, we start sending all of the criminals, the rapists, the yada yada. Like, these are people who are not passing down. I mean, they try their best. By the time we get to season 1 of Game of Thrones, like, there are some who are like, yeah, this wall, you know, this is we're meant to protect. It's the North and yada yada. And then there's other people who's like, man, fuck this shit, fuck this tradition, right? Like, you can make the same parallel to our military. Like, there's some people who live and breathe USA, US, you know, and there's some people who are like, hey, I'm in this for a check, I'm in this for a pension, I'm here to pay for school, yada yada. Like, there's a slight. You don't break down institutions don't break down overnight, right? It's a slow decay, right? And that's what Game of Thrones has been trying to tell you about the wall since season 1. It's like it once was this, like this folklore around it, passed down from northern family to northern family. But once you know, the head honchos in these families start dying, and then we get to the younger generation, does the younger generation have the same care for these traditions and these stories? Or are they like Bran and Rickon's, like, oh, old Nan just telling these stories about giant spiders and all this shit like that? Stuff becomes myth, especially when you're not seeing it, right? And the White Walkers weren't just running up into the wall and killing people. Like, people, they were venturing out, and less people start coming back, right? So like, there's no name for it, there's no face for it, it's just dead. So yeah, it's just a slight decay of an institution. Until it gets to the point where, like, it's a ragtag crew. Like, you barely got 1,000 men, barely got 100 by the time we get to season 6, season 7. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a decaying of it, where they used to have armies protecting the wall. You don't have that anymore.
I mean, look at what Jon Snow educated Daenerys on Dragonstone. You take like the Lascaux Cave version of telling of the story of the first men encountering the White Walkers, and it's, you know, drawn on the walls. And I mean, it was there. It's just, it's a forgotten history, and no one cares about it anymore.
No, and Brittany and Trey, y'all make great points. I feel what you're saying. I guess my counterpoint to that is, it mattered enough to the Stark lineage to send Benjen out there. And if it wasn't that big of a deal, why would I don't know if Rickon sent Benjen out there or Ned did, but he's still in a nice wash that's dwindling, but you have a highborn Stark blood that's still out there. And I guess the disconnect for me is that it's almost like led to believe that Benjen knows that there are things out there that are not human blood. I just find it weird that did Benjen and Ned not speak about this? Like it's weird that Benjen. Go ahead.
I'll rebut that really quick before we like move on. But like, one, the Starks are on the side of the people who still care in general. But again, another larger theme about Game of Thrones told through the wall is like, do we still know what we're fighting for? Ned is just like, hey, I follow these orders. This is just what we do. We're Starks. We defend the wall. But hey, Ned, do you know what the fuck we defending the wall from? Like, can you tell? And also like, there's this propaganda, right? Who are they defending the wall from? Benjen probably has a better idea of what they're defending the wall from than Ned. because Ned is not seeing it. Ned just probably thinks, hey, we're defending it from wildlings, people who would want to invade, the country from that side. It's my job to protect that. Whereas Benjamin's like, hey, I've actually been beyond that. And it's not just wildlings. And honestly, Benjamin probably has a different perspective on the term, on these people as wildlings than Ned does. So like, yeah, it's also a matter of perspective.
But that wasn't conveyed to Ned, though. Is my question. Like the brothers,
Ned
like
believed everything that we know about Ned. Would he have believed something he couldn't see, and that went against like traditional thought?
Ned also didn't tell his own blood brother and family, Jon Snow's true parentage. That his sister, married a Targaryen, birthed this child in Dorne, and yeah, so he's equally guilty of keeping things from family. I mean, come on.
And you're right, but if Ned firmly believed that whatever homage what was out there was dwindling away and was just thieves and wildlings, then what the fuck does the words mean when it's coming? Then what does it mean then? Like, what does those words mean if that idea is just fading away into oblivion of like what's beyond there of death, like Kragan said?
He's just selective in tradition. I don't know. I mean,
it's just words, and then that's really
words.
what it is. It's just
it doesn't
words.
matter. He's without his head.
Okay,
like it's, ours is the fury. Like it's just things that people say. It doesn't really have any meaning until voila, White Walkers pop up at your door.
Except Fire and Blood. That one's kind of pretty on point with the Targaryen. So
okay, well, you know what? If you say that Ned's just saying words just to say words over the words that meant something, then I guess I can go with that because but it's just, I don't know, it's just weird, man. I don't know. It's just weird. But I'm sorry. Go ahead, guys.
Well, the one thing is they said the words winter is coming right away, and you're like, okay, they're trying to hook in like the people who are not like trying to get the casual viewers in with the words that everybody knows. So I did think that was like a smart move in the first 5 minutes of the show to drop winter is coming. Also, you'll notice there were new credits during the theme music, which that theme music every time it hits, just like I still have the same feeling. Yeah, it's so good. It's just like, man, feels like Sunday night.
I was a little surprised that we got new credits. It makes sense though, because the beginning or the credits from season 1 dealt with like the doom of Valyria, and then you see like the line of the Targaryens coming down, to Westeros, to seeing Viserys being king, and then it split to his children with Alicent and then with Rhaenyra and so forth. So it does make sense to have new credits. I think visually stunning with like the weaving of the tapestry and like again still telling the histories of the Targaryens. It was, I think, extremely well done. I like the key points that they threw in from season 1, especially like with Alicent descending in the green dress. Like I'm not team green, but damn, that dress is amazing. It's one of my favorite points in the whole of season 1. So I think it was just really, really cool to see unfold and be woven.
Also,
and it's a tie into something that Helena has said too about, because she's spouting kooky things, but she's talking about weaving into black or weaving into green, and we're seeing that unfold.
Also, like this season they're expanding the map.
Yes.
It's not just in King's Landing anymore. It's not just the history. Like they're Riverrun, Winterfell. Like, so it makes sense to expand the opening credits as well.
Yeah, we had some expansion of the characters. We not a ton of new characters, and I'm not sure if Blood and Cheese are going to be characters going forward. Maybe they've kind of served their purpose. But we did meet a character that I think will have a future, and that's a character by the name of Alan, spelled Alyn, common spelling. He's the guy that rescued Corlys from the sea. Corlys talks about how he owes him his life. George, I want to go to you first. Do you think this guy is going to be a character going forward, or was that just kind of a moment that I misread?
Bro, I'm not gonna lie to you. I didn't know who the hell that was. I don't remember him getting rescued. I know he was lost, but I don't remember any of that.
I don't think they
No. We never saw it.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're just tying it into this character. Oh, you were the one who pulled me out of the water. That's what it is.
Right.
So they didn't show this dude last season.
No.
Okay.
So.
All right. I was very fucking lost. I didn't know what was going on.
I know that we have 3 book readers who probably know the answer to the question, but I guess I'll throw to Tristan or I'll throw to Frank first. Frank, do you see this character becoming a bigger player than just the guy who's helping rebuild Corliss's ship?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think anytime you step a highborn as a small folk, i.e. Christian Cole, you're now a player. You've entered the game. It's gonna be interesting to see how they use this character moving forward. But yeah, he's gonna be a major player. To what end, I'm not sure. But the fact that Corliss sought him out to thank him, that's something. That's not something that's not an offhanded thing. That's not an isolated thing. He's gonna play a role in this season.
Yeah, even if I wasn't a book reader, I would say that. Like again, like you do something like that, and Corliss gives off the impression of a very honorable dude, like also sentimental. So the way I see him playing a big role is through Corliss's sentimentality towards him. I think he plays he may play a bigger role in the wars to come.
Brittany, we are on video, but this is also an audio medium. Do you want to share your facial expression? Yeah.
Truth be told, I need to reread these chapters that surround the Dance of Dragons. But yes, for sure, Alan, no last name will get a last name. Will play a significant role in the war to come, and that's all I'm gonna say about that.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't remember.
I mean, like a deed like that, like that's how you get a lordship. That's how you get a house.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you become somebody.
Yeah.
That was Seaworth, you know what I'm saying? Baelish, Christian Cole.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is your in. You know what I'm saying? So I think Alan might be a 6 man off the bench this season.
Real quick, y'all, in the chat here, we are joined by Trisha, aka the Texas Potterhead. Thank you for being here. She asked the question, what team is everyone on at this point? George, I'm gonna start off with you.
I don't know. I'm playing both sides. I'm gonna wait to see. Give me a couple more episodes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Justin.
No, I think Tristan has the best point about this, about how, the show is definitely making it where, everyone's kind of on Team Black just because the way the story's playing out. I mean, you had the son that was killed by the dragon last season, and Matt Smith, Damon is on Team Black. He's like the coolest character on the show, so it's it's leaning toward Team Black. But I gotta say, like, I'm kind of like kind of in the middle, just kind of taking it in, taking notes, watching what's happening. I'll choose my side later on.
Trisha says dual agent towards George. Yep. We've got that here. Frank, Team Black or Team Green?
Last season I was definitely Team Black, but as I move on and watch both sides, I'm more a fan of people, not particularly teams. I mean, I love Rhaenyra for all her mistakes. I love her. I do love Miss Hightower. I do, because I think for her, in a time where women are not respected for their leadership, I mean, she's honed it down. Like, she's weathering the storm. And I think the human element, when you see her being undermined by her father, being undermined by her sons, like that bothers me. It does. And like, whether I'm Team Black or Team Green, I'm Team Respect. And like, you can't, it's Queen Mother, bro. Like, you can't undermine her when she's trying to, protect her family. And I think this show I don't think it's gonna force you to pick a side. It's gonna force you to pick people to root for. And I think this season is the season to root for people. I'm Team Helena. I mean, as troubled as she is, like, she didn't ask for this. You know what I'm saying? Like, I empathize with her and sympathize with her as well. So I'm not picking a side anymore, but I am rooting for people for sure in this season.
Okay. Great arguments. Tracy here in the chat says she's with George, still on the fence, but yeah, it's easier to choose people on each team, Frank. Tristan, my friend, go ahead.
Firmly, unequivocally, Team Allison Hightower. Again, for everything that Frank said, I definitely sympathize with Rhaenyra. Again, you've been told your whole life something was gonna happen, and then it gets to literally that point, and then it gets kind of taken away from you. You lose a son. Completely sympathize with that. Also, know too much about Rhaenyra to root for her. Like, from the jump, and like even as a kid, I'm like, damn, I'm gonna have to root against you. That's fucked up. I do again. It's a lot of sympathy with Rhaenyra. I think there are things to like about Rhaenyra. I do like the fierceness. I do like the fact that she's willing to fight for what she wants, who she loves. I just think she's reckless as fuck. I'm firmly Allison and Helena, crazy as she may be. Like, I wonder how crazy she's gonna be now after this. How they're gonna depict her going forward. But Team Allison, like, and if that makes me Team Green, so be it. Like, we're all Biden versus Trump at this point. We're all rooting for somebody. We're all rooting for something that we don't totally agree with. Hopefully. So yeah, I'm rocking there. My favorite
Listen,
character.
Which
I
one
get
has
that.
dragons, Biden or Trump? And I'll honestly, pretty scary either way. But wow,
They both have dragons. One
both have
has drones. One has rednecks. Like everybody has dragons.
Which one has the most felony charges? Anyway, so I am knowing of course the outcome of all of this. I'm still going to say I'm more with Team Rhaenyra just because of principle. Her father had named her heir in front of everyone and their mother. Allison had finally come to the acceptance that this is what it was going to be. Her children were not going to ascend the throne. And then she, not understanding what Viserys was saying on his deathbed, presumed that he was going to ascend his firstborn son instead of his daughter, whom he had firmly reaffirmed many on occasion. So I am not with Allison nor the Hightowers. Otto can go get an STD and die. And I'm not for Team Green. Now, earlier in the chat here, Yesenia says it will not end well. Good luck to all. And that's just the truth of the matter. It's truth of the matter. But I will say here,
no,
Trish,
that
Trish,
kid is not dead until I see it. Okay, that
Jesus
kid's
Christ.
very much alive and well.
Trisha here in the chat says, I'm Team Princess Rhaenys. Listen, I'm all about Rhaenys as well. She is a force to be reckoned with, someone who should have probably been the rightful ruler of Westeros, and she, got got passed up by her cousin because he's a male. But for someone who has gone through so much, she's lost her children. She was almost going to lose her husband. She held her own. That, to me, is the makings of a true ruler and a fierce queen. So and for that reason, I'm on Team Black, because she has pledged her allegiance to Team Rhaenyra.
My quick question for anyone who believes that they are who is declaring for Team Black. Let's say Viserys dies, Rhaenyra ascends to the throne as he originally named and kept declaring. What do you believe that Rhaenyra would have done with Alicent and her children after the inevitable challenging of that by pretty much the entire realm? Do you believe that Rhaenyra would have protected Alicent, or do you think that she would have bowed down to immense pressure and put those children to death?
I don't think she would have, unless she was given cause. I don't think, because
the cause is these male children have a better claim based on precedent to the throne.
Fair. However, wow, I'm changing people's names. Viserys Viserys had, once again, when he was reaffirming Lucerys to be the heir to Driftmark and all that good stuff, it's kind of like, my word is law. That's it. There were witnesses. You're gonna believe the word of one person who was in the room with a dying king to say, yeah, he changed his mind, and we're supposed to take that as law? No. And that's why Alicent worked so quickly to make sure that when Aegon was going to be crowned as king, she needed to have thousands of witnesses so no one could contest it. Yet you're having to take her word that was Viserys' dying wish. So going back to your original question, I don't think Rhaenyra would have taken these children and killed them, because she was, even after she had been usurped, she was still trying to be peaceful about it. So I don't think she honestly would have. That's just me personally. Anyone else, please weigh in.
I don't think she would have, but I think Daemon would have. I think Daemon would undermine her, because you got to remember.
I agree with that.
That was Daemon's brother. You don't think Daemon has an axe to grind against the High Towers? He would have killed those kids. And if he had a chance, Miss Hightower as well. He was so broken by the remain, like how Viserys looked in those last couple episodes. He was crying, like he was broken. Like, this is my brother now. Like, what have you done to my brother? That hatred would have carried. He would have murdered some Targaryens and some Hightowers the minute that Rhaenyra would have said, "Nah, save my brother and my cousins or whatever." Like, he would have undermined Rhaenyra, like he has in the past. So, and that's why I say it's too hard to like root for sides, because like each side has bad apples. And like now, when I went back to watch season 1, it's kind of like, fuck, man. Like I can't root for one side absolutely. Both these sides are fucked up. There's bad apples on both sides. Like there's no absolute side to be like, you know what, they deserve to win, because they both done bad deeds. And whether it's Hightower, whether it's Otto on one end, or whether it's Larys, or whether it's Daemon, like neither side fully can be trusted. And that's what the show's trying to tell you. Like, there are no winners here. Even the winner.
I will say the same thing. There are no winners.
No winners.
Like, there's no spoilers here. Like, there's no, me saying I'm Team Alicent does not mean she's gonna emerge triumphant. No, there are no winners here.
Not at all.
Like, there's no winners.
And even the winner of this war loses too. Like this, like, so it's kind of like,
yeah,
this war, they're fucked. And what's so sad about it is that outside of this family, the Seven Kingdoms are fucked. They're being forced to fight a war that has nothing to do with them. That's just family infighting that's now placated and permeated throughout the Seven Kingdoms. That's the fucked up part.
Yeah, and like I think we're all kind of trying to say the same thing. Basically, like, look, it could very easily be flipped the other way, right? If circumstances go one way, we have the same scenario, just opposite sides. So, and while Alicent and Rhaenyra are on opposite sides of this battle, of course, I did like there was the moment where Rhaenyra is, they're having a funeral for Luke, who died, and with the Valerians, they're having this like fire funeral with the dragons, and you see at the same time they show Alicent, she's lighting a candle for Lucerys for Valerian. So I thought, like, even though they're on opposite sides, despite everything that's happened, there is still some love there in some way.
Or it's out of guilt because she knows that her horrible son is the cause for Lucerys' death.
But she didn't tell him to do that. Like, she didn't send him to do that.
It doesn't excuse his impulses and the fact that his need for fairness, because Lucerys is the one who took his eye, and he says the same thing to Lucerys at Storm's End, and then therefore pursued him on the world's biggest fucking dragon at that point. Who do you think was going to win at that point? Come on. There's guilt.
Maybe. I don't know.
There's guilt on both sides, because Allison sent her overly impulsive, teenage son, essentially. And Rhaenyra sent her gentle-hearted, in that era, weak son, right? So, like, it was kind of, I won't say inevitable, but highly likely that something bad was going to happen if those two were in the same place. And I don't think either side knew that the other side was going to be there. But once you send, this is the true genius of the show, of this story that we're following, is that, it's the kids who have been being forced to fight this war for people much older than them, who should know better, who should make better decisions, who should think about how their children are affected, how the small folk are affected, how the houses are affected, the country as a whole. Like Frank just said, like, everybody's affected by this thing. Mm-hmm. And so much of this could have been stopped early on, just by smaller decisions. And now these big decisions have to be made, and like, these kids have to step on the front lines of some shit that they weren't ready for. Like, these little precious girls are like getting ready for war and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, messing up their little braids and stuff. Like, this is everybody has to pay for these bad decisions. So like, there's guilt. There has to be guilt from both sides, because they know what they're sending their children into. And they also don't have either the tools, the intentions, or the know-how on how to stop it from getting there. There's so many times in this episode where, somebody's saying war is inevitable, dragons, like, this is going to happen. But it's like, that's the real tragedy. This is a family splitting apart now. A country is about to splinter apart.
And that's what bothers me about that. And this is why I kind of like just turn a new leaf about like not rooting for families anymore, because it's like, you guys, children should be your pride and joy. Like, having kids is like, I don't have kids, but like, from what has been told to me, from seeing my siblings with their kids, that should be your number one goal as a parent, to protect your children. That should be your number one goal: develop, protect, and hope that they live a better life than you do. And the way that these families are just throwing these kids' legacies in the trash, all because of a petty misconception of like who's supposed to be king, who's supposed to be queen. It just conveys to me that these people are just trash. Like, your kids should be your number one priority to protect. You're sending this young boy out to go do a bidding, to go beg for Baratheon's hand in this war. On the other end, you sending your angry ass one-eyed fuck of a son to go beg for your bidding, and now a kid dies out of that, and then in turn another kid dies out of that in this episode. Like, when does it stop? Like, ego is killing these kids, and it's the egos of these parents. It's like, how many kids have to die for you to be like, you know what? Let's come to the table. Fuck this shit. Our kids are dying. Like, we gotta put it into. We gotta break bread and call it truce to this at some point, because we are, and like, even into the main storyline now with the Targaryens. A big reason why I don't know more Targaryens is because of this war. This is like, it took like 75% of all of the Targaryens in this family lineage, all because of one side saying, I want this throne, other side saying, no, it was promised to me. And it just makes it really hard to root for either side, because you're not putting the best interests of your family in turn. So
I'm gonna push back real quick. The people are trash because the system is trash. The whole institution is trash. Why are we here in the first place? Viserys didn't have a boy. It was like Rhaenyra, firstborn. Like, literally, all of this would have been solved. He would have either, if he had a male heir. He did not have a male heir, so that goes to Rhaenyra. And now you have to deal with all the politics and how the country is going to see this and accept this. And because of that, these other decisions happen. And because these decisions happen, Viserys dies. Now, Alicent has to choose, okay, do I protect my children, my family, or do I trust Rhaenyra? And like, all these things happen because the system, the institution is trash. And like, all of this was if you really like start peeling back the threads, it's like, pardon us, Brittany, but it's like the Thunder Warriors 2016. Like, how many things happened because the Thunder could not beat, you know what I'm saying? Like beat the Warriors. They blew a 3-1 lead. How much stuff happened because the Warriors blew a 3-1 lead? Like there's so many things. This happened, and then this happened, and then this happened, and now that's happened. This was always going to happen, and that's what makes this story so brilliant. Is that it wasn't shit that anybody could do to stop it. Yeah, the country could have came together and say, sure, we'll accept a female queen. Sure. You know, like
let me push back on that, T. Let me push you back on that.
It's not redundant, but like, sure, we'll accept the heir to the throne being a woman. They could have done that, and that would have solved all its problems. But how likely was that going to be?
But systems are created by people, right? They're created by people who put these systems into play, and ego played a part in this. You could have easily changed the rule. You could have been like, regardless of gender, man or woman, huh?
Who could have changed that rule?
Any one of the kings or queens, or any one of the kings, Viserys or Jaehaerys or Aegon, whoever implemented this rule in the first place.
Yeah, like Aegon, it happening now in the time that we're watching now. Like you need broad support for that, and you need.
That's why they needed the council. That's why they needed the council 101. You
need a mindset to change. You know what I'm saying?
But in order to change mindsets, you got to put people in the council that support your claim. Like the number one mistake that Viserys did was keeping Otto as hand in the king. Because keeping Otto as hand in the king, he's bringing people that supports Otto's claim of like trying to get his bloodline on the throne, all because Viserys was like, that's my friend. Viserys showed weakness. Had Viserys just clean house of that council and put people around him that support his vision of making Rhaenyra queen of the Seven Kingdom, we're not here. We're not here. One thing about the old king, which Jaehaerys did for years, the reason why Jaehaerys has so much respect for the 55 years that he ruled or whatever, is that he put people around him that he trusted and people that commanded his respect. And the minute that Viserys trusted Otto with everything and didn't step up and put his dick on the table and be like, hey man, you can't be on, like he betrayed him and like he brought him back. that just strengthens Otto and the Hightowers on motives by doing that. Like Viserys' weakness kind of like put all this into play.
The last thing I'll say and be done with, but the same good people that Jaehaerys kept around him rejected Rhaenyra. So like this is how people see women. Like, and that's not something that you're gonna just small counsel your way out of. Like, this is a centuries long from the start of basically their humanity of how they see women. And like because of that, this is why we're here. But
the mistake that Jaehaerys made was putting that shit to a vote. He should have made a clear-cut decision like, this is gonna be my next heir. As a lot of his kids die, he should have been like, this is gonna be my next heir. I'm the old king. I've ruled 50 some years. This is who I want to be, not leave it to a vote.
That would have been a mutiny. Like, I'm sorry. Like, that would have been a mutiny. And
then you kill off the people that don't agree with you. They do this all the time.
That's where we are. War. It's like what I'm saying. Like, it's like one way or another, we're going to have war over this.
But those peace for the majority of Jaehaerys' reign. So I mean, we can't only say it's going to be a war because Jaehaerys is regarded as one of the best, if not the best king the kingdom's ever seen. So I don't fully agree that it was going to be a war. I don't fully agree with that because his resume says that over the 55 years that he ruled, it was the most peaceful times of the Seven Kingdoms. So could we really say that it was going to be a war?
Jaehaerys himself said it was going to be a war.
And it was going to be a war amongst his family. It wasn't because of anyone outside of that. It was going to be from within the House of the Dragon.
I still think Jaehaerys makes a solid decision. I don't think it's going to be a war based on what we've seen from Jaehaerys and based on what we read about him in the books. And any other king, possibly, but I don't think it was Jaehaerys.
I love the debate. We're going to continue it throughout the season. Before we wrap up, is there anything we didn't touch on that you want to mention before we get out of here? Brittany, go to you first.
Yeah, apparently your beard game is strong, Justin, according to Trisha. And I think that's cool.
Thank you.
Just-
Appreciate it.
Just a side note.
I mean, I appreciate that. But is there anything from the show tonight that we didn't talk about?
We got very little of Rhaenyra. Like we saw her a lot on screen. I say a lot, but not really. We saw
She
her
said
more
one
on
line.
She said one line. I want Aemon Targaryen, and then exits. A lot of emotional scenes from Rhaenyra. Emma Darcy plays a very, very great Rhaenyra, and I mean, this is just we're just getting started, people. We're just getting started, and looking ahead for the rest of the season. I am very much looking forward to it. I do hope that it's not going to be like a slow burn like this particular episode was. Like I said at the top of the show, for me, it felt a little short. I'm hoping that the rest of the season is going to be a lot stronger. We are only getting 8 episodes as opposed to 10. So I'm hoping that whatever story that they're going to be telling us for this season is going to be well thought, well placed, and we're not going to get a season 8 ending for season 2 as a whole. That's just me personally. I have major PTSD when it comes to stuff like that. So I think we did hit on all the major points, at least the stuff that I wanted to discuss.
But we do know that there is a season 3 already that's coming.
Yes,
so, yeah.
that was already confirmed even before the premiere of season 2. I think that came out either on Friday or Thursday. I can't remember exactly, but we're getting a season 3, y'all.
Frank, final thoughts or anything we didn't talk about that you want to mention?
I hope it picks up a little bit. It was a little bit of a slow burn. I mean, I thought they laid down groundwork for some explosiveness this season, so we shall see. My fear of adding more seasons, I hope they don't stretch it out too much, because this story is not that. This story is very short in the books. So if you extended it over multiple seasons, I just hope that it's not filler in between these chapters of this season. I mean, I think 3 seasons is enough. If they go beyond, if they try to stretch it to 4 or 5, it's going to be a slow burn, and you're going to ruin the essence of what the story really is, because this story is really over a span of like 3 years, maybe. like if you count like from the point Viserys dies, this happens very quickly. Like there's not much stretching of the story you can possibly do after Viserys dies. So
I will say that I bet the reason they called it House of the Dragon and not Dance of the Dragons is because you can also stretch this out to like the aftermath Dance of the Dragons. So that gives you more story to play with. Man, I love a good slow burn, man. Like make me wait for it. Just like tease me. I'm an English teacher, so I like also like the smaller details. You know, I don't mind waiting for like the bigger things. But for me, like the takeaway from episode 1 is pay attention to the conflict brewing between Rhaenys and Daemon. That's a big part of the story, and like just their dynamic, because Rhaenys in a way kind of acts as like an avatar for Rhaenyra, just to kind of check Daemon in a way that Rhaenyra sometimes is a little hesitant to. So pay attention to that.
Good stuff. Good stuff by all. Now you know what we thought about the season premiere of House of the Dragon. We want to know what you thought about it. And Brittany, how can people let us know?
I mean, just like what Tracy, Trisha, Yesenia, M Moves, King B Johnson, and anyone else I may have overlooked here in our live chat, join us for the live chat. This is a first for us here at the Watchers in the Basement, doing instant review pods or reaction pod after the premiere of House of the Dragon. So join us every Sunday for the next 7 weeks as we continue to do this. It's been a lot of fun, honestly. And we want to hear what you have to say, your thoughts, your questions. So join us for the live chat. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit that like button. It helps us out a lot. And also, don't forget to hit that notification bell. That way, you know the next time we go live, which will actually be tomorrow. Frank and yours truly, we're covering Interview with the Vampire. That's premiering. I say premiering. That's airing on AMC. Y'all, it's so much fun. Join us for that live chat. That's happening tomorrow, Monday. And then also the boys are back. The boys are back with season 4. We're going to bring y'all review pods of The Boys as well. So we've got a lot of content lined up for y'all this summer. So we're very excited about that. But also don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Threads, all at Watchers Basement. Use the same hashtag, Watchers Basement, to help grow our audience. And lastly, we've got you hooked up with the audio podcast available on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Give us a follow, and don't forget to give us a 5-star rating.
Thank you, Brittany. I appreciate it. So for Brittany, for Frank, for Tristan, for George, I'm Justin saying thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We will see you next time. Have a good night. Bye-bye.